every year without fail, we get the same game saying they're gonna release, and when the time comes, they just don't. And before we even make the comment, yes, I know I keep on making the same video again and again and again. But you know what? I'm not gonna stop. Because the moment I stop making these upcoming games videos is the moment when you know I've given up on the platform as a whole. So hopefully never. So with that being said, with hope for the platform still remaining, today this is going to be my top 10 upcoming releasing games of 2026. And this time I'll be ranking each game out of combat, mechanics, and aesthetics. And you know what? Let's just hope that this time they actually release. Let's get it. Starting off this list at honor mention number 5, we have Project Slayers 2. So this is a game that you've probably heard of, or at least seen the precursor to, being the original Project Slayers. Project Slayers 2 seems to be trying to take a unique spin on the previous game, with the game now having breathing styles and blood demon arts that weren't in the game before. Once again though, the game seems to have a heavy focus on aesthetics, with of course visuals being the main focus, and the game also having some pretty high quality looking combat. I'll give Project Slayers 2 a 7.5 for combat, because although it is high quality, I can't see myself loving it too much personally, at least from what we've seen so far. I'll give it a 6.5 for mechanics and a 9 for aesthetic. Next up on our mention number 4, we have something that's pretty rare for one of these lists, and that's Last Hope, a Star Wars game. So Last Hope is a new open world roguelike Star Wars game with unique progression, a wide variety of maps to explore, and unique mechanics that I've personally never seen before in a Star Wars game. You can explore and collect different holocrons, learn new abilities, train to master the Force, and also just mess around with PvP and PvE. Now, I don't normally play Star Wars games, but this is just one of those experiences where after touching the game for a few minutes, I began to really enjoy it and honestly got hooked. At the moment, the game is set to release in November, and I'll give Last Hope a 6.5 for combat, a 7.5 for mechanics, and a 6.5 for aesthetic. Next up on our mention number 3, we have Yiba, which is a new Roblox Demon Slayer game that we've been waiting on for a minute. Now by this point, you've probably seen this game at least once. Everybody's talking about it. Yiba is a new hardcore Demon Slayer game with roguelike aspects, and the thing that people clearly love the most about this game is its gorgeous combat and honestly beautiful aesthetics, as well as its unique, more hardcore style of Demon Slayer gameplay, which honestly is a breath of fresh air, at least when it comes to Demon Slayer games. The only reason why this game isn't on the actual list is because it's been supposed to come out for a minute now, and they seem to keep pushing it back, so yeah, I don't really know as far as that goes. With that being said, I'll give Yiba a 9 for combat, an 8 for mechanics, and a 9 for aesthetics. Moving on to our mention number 2, we have Pocket Anime. Now this is another game that I'm sure you've seen or at least heard of once or twice. Pocket Anime is a new upcoming Pokemon based anime type of game, and once again, the only reason why this game isn't on the actual list is because again, the game should have been out already. But aside from that, the game is actually beautiful, features a wide variety of different maps based off different anime, and what people love so much about this game is the unique spin that it takes on anime games on the platform, aiming to create something new rather than going the generic route that most games do now. I'll give Pocket Anime an 8 for combat, a 7.5 to an 8 for mechanics, depending on if you like Pokemon or not, and a 9 for aesthetics. Hopefully the game drops. And finally, for the last honorable mention, at number 1, we have High-End, which is a new upcoming roguelike Roblox Jujutsu Kaisen game, and one of the closest on this list to release. So High-End is a new unique JJK game in which you can progress through a series of different curse techniques, explore different regions of a pretty vast map, and master different fighting styles. What I like about High-End is, even though I didn't really play the game too much myself, the game actively tries to be different, and it's not afraid to. For example, in most JJK games, you pretty much just spawn in and then roll for a curse technique. But in High-End, it's kind of the same, but now, instead of just rolling for one, you first need to find that specific technique's trainer and then do quests from them in order to learn from them. And even if that's not a crazy change, it's still a cool one. The game also features some dope boss fights, cool abilities, and more. And overall, what I can appreciate the most from High-End is its uniqueness. Like, the game actively tries to be unique and put in interesting concepts that most games would honestly just be too lazy to include. And I'll be honest, I love how they're just focused on trying new things. I'm pretty sure this game will be dropping sometime this year, and I honestly can't wait to see what they cook. I'll give High-End a 7 for its combat, a 7 for its mechanics, and a 7 for its aesthetics. And now, moving on to the actual list, I think you guys are really gonna enjoy this. Starting off this list at number 10, we have Tokyo Re, a new Roblox Tokyo Ghoul game. And I gotta be honest, this game caught my eye. Now, usually, I very rarely include Tokyo Ghoul games on these lists, but Tokyo Re looks to be trying its hardest to bring that unique flavor that I feel most Tokyo Ghoul games on Roblox just don't have. Not only do the game's combat and movement systems look significantly better than most Tokyo Ghoul games we've been getting, it also just looks like a Tokyo Ghoul game. And I see this for 90% of the games I see on the platform. In fact, most of y'all are probably sick of hearing me say this, but a lot of the games that we tend to get, if not most or like almost all of them, usually pretty much say they're gonna be based off a certain anime, and then they just ignore the anime it's based off. I'll never understand it. I don't know why games do this, but a lot of them do. And disregarding how faithful the game is to the source material, or at least appears to be, some of these mechanics, like the movement mechanics, are genuinely just beautiful to look at. The Kagane are beautiful, the CCG weapons look great, and overall, it looks like an experience that you just want to try playing at least once. If we're all being honest, we've been kind of missing out on a decent Tokyo Ghoul game for a minute now. I mean, the last one that I remember really playing was Ghoul, and that was back in 2017. So yeah, need I say anything more? And this game, with its lore-accurate Kagane, unique systems, and interesting direction, seems like it's trying to come together to fill that void. This game just looks like the result of combining talented developers with actual passion and a unique idea. And I personally can't wait. I give Tokyo Re an 8 for combat, an 8.5 for mechanics, and an 8.5 for aesthetics. Next up at number 9, we have Grand Alpine. So Grand Alpine is an upcoming Roblox Sword Art Online game. This is a game that's been in dev for some time, but the one thing that I can say about this game is that it is always being worked on and is actually planned to release, which I know should kind of be a given for games, but a lot of games seem to be made with no intention of actually letting people play. Anyway, the game has some decent combat, unique horse and flight mechanics, a good amount of different races and areas to explore. The game also has a whole bunch of different weapon classes, which means that if you would like to try out different styles of gameplay, you have the opportunity to. What I'll say about Grand Alpine is, if you're just looking for a relatively simple SAO game with some unique mechanics and exploration, you're probably going to really enjoy this one. Keep in mind, the game is fairly simple, so you're not going to be getting anything platform break, just being honest. I'll give Grand Alpine a 6.5 on combat, a 6 for mechanics, and a 7.5 for aesthetics. Next up at number 8, we have Clover RPG, which is a new and actually the only Black Clover game on this list. So Clover RPG, to me at least, is a unique answer to the question of what does a Black Clover game look like on Roblox? The game features a wide variety of maps, each with their own actual lore and story behind them, which is pretty cool. Like for example, in certain areas of the map, in order to access different parts of it, you do have to do these puzzles and riddles, and I thought that was pretty cool, even if it is pretty simple. Everywhere you go has its own unique story and reasons for being the way that it is, which again, even if it's not anything crazy, is cool to add to the game in my opinion. One thing I loved about the game from my brief time playing it is the sheer amount of diversity it has. I would actually say that this is the game's biggest strong point. Each and every build you make in this game is usually unique and different from the last due to the sheer amount of different weapons and magics in the game, each having its own style of gameplay. I was able to make about 4 to like 6 different builds. I can't remember the exact amounts, but you guys are probably seeing them on screen right now. So everything you're seeing right now, these are all my personal builds, and I had to build for every different style of magic. And this is something that's important for me personally because I don't like walking around with the same thing that everyone else has. I want to be unique. That's just me. The game also has some cool, almost deep woken like bosses, and even though this isn't really anything crazy, a lot of games have bosses, like I don't know, GPO for example, it's still a cool feature and they didn't have to do it, but they did, so I appreciate it. I'll give Clover RPG a 7 for combat, a 6.5 for mechanics, and a 7.5 on aesthetics. Next up at number 7, we have Hunter X Game, which is one of the anime games that I'm personally rooting for the most. So for starters, Hunter X Game is a new upcoming Roblox Hunter X Hunter game, and even though I put this game on every list I make, this one is just different. The owner of this game is in the military, which means that he's not able to constantly work on it, but despite that, the game is still planned to release and still obviously has passion. This is one of those games where I can just be sitting there chilling and time after time always see pings in my Discord from this game, seeing them obviously working on it. And games like that you just don't always get, unironic. And games like that you can tell they have passion for. You can take an actual Hunter exam, which like I always say is a feature that obviously should be in any Hunter X Hunter game, but for some reason it's not. I have no clue why. There are a good amount of different Hatsus, some unique mechanics, and above all, this is just one of those few games that I can say was actually made with love from a team who genuinely just enjoys Hunter X Hunter and has a passion for the material. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's the best game ever made. Overall, the game itself is fairly simple, but to be honest, I take that over a game that has no soul to it any day. I'll give Hunter X Game a 7 for combat, a 7.5 for mechanics, and a 6.5 for aesthetics. Moving on to number 6, we have Hinokami, which is a new Roblox Demon Slayer game. Okay, so Hinokami is easily the most hyped up Demon Slayer game I've ever seen personally. With me, honestly having some of the most hype for it purely because it's created by the same person who created Demon Slayer RPG 1 and 2, games that arguably started the entire Demon Slayer channel Roblox, or at least heavily contributed to it. These are some of the earliest games I played on my channel too, so obviously y'all can see why I'm so excited for it. So that should give you guys some idea as to why people are so excited for this game. Combine that with the game's beautiful aesthetic, with each breathing style looking gorgeous, alongside the game's combat looking amazing as well. Hinokami features a wide variety of different breathing styles and blood demon arts, with each of them not only looking great, but also looking like they feel or play really smooth as well. Not only does the combat look incredibly smooth, the game also seems to be finally trying to take the Demon Slayer niche on Roblox one step further by adding in unique concepts and mechanics that will truly make the game Demon Slayer. Like for example, if you're around a group of NPCs and you happen to overhear them talking, this can potentially change your progression, open new quest lines for you, similar to Sekiro, which by the way, if you haven't played yet, you should, it's really good. Or if you'd like to be like Tengen for example, who was first a ninja, who then happened to become a Demon Slayer, but still kept his ninja ability. If you'd like to, you can literally do that in this game, because there are actual subclasses that make sense. And this is cool because it only lets you create more and more diverse builds. And the game also features an actual story mode, or storyline, with actual voice acting, which I think is pretty dope. I mean, I'm probably gonna have it turned off, but it's still cool. What I think people love the most about this game is that it just looks like Demon Slayer in a way that, no offense, games like Project Slayers or even Slayers Unleashed haven't really been able to do. Most other Demon Slayer games have a kind of cartoony, almost childlike appearance, and this game looks like it's taking itself a little bit more serious, and it shows. I'll give Hinokami an 8 for combat, a 9 for its unique mechanics, and a 9.5 for its aesthetics. Moving on to number 5, we have Kaizen 2. So Kaizen 2 is a new upcoming Roblox Naruto game with a unique take on what Naruto on this platform means. The one thing that stands out to me the most about this game is its dynamic combat, the wide range of clan skills and abilities. The game's combat just feels so incredibly smooth. If you guys can't tell, that's honestly one of the things that I value the most when it comes to anime games, at least, because if it doesn't have a fun combat system, then I'm probably not gonna play it that long. Another thing I love about this game is its Jinchuriki system, allowing you to actually become the tailed beast, which honestly I think is a feature that should be in every Roblox Naruto game, but that's just the game. Feels good to play, has unique mechanics like a momentum-based parkour system, which feels smooth as hell to use, different PvP and PvE game modes like raids, and overall just makes for a pretty fun time. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy the raid modes. They're like actually fun to play with friends. I'll give Kaizen 2 a 9 for combat, an 8 for mechanics, and an 8.5 for aesthetics. Next up at number 4, we have the game that's arguably the closest to releasing, Magoi. So Magoi is a new upcoming, I can't believe I'm saying this, Magi game, and it's one that's been in development for some time now and continued to be worked on. The game is now closer than it's ever been to releasing, and man, where do I even start with this? So Magoi is an open world Magi game where the goal is really just to explore and progress. There's a series of different areas you can explore through, a super wide variety of different mobs and bosses you can fight, actual dungeons that you can explore and collect various rewards from, and more. The game also has some unique and interesting systems, like its magic system, where you need to actually execute the spells in order to use them. And although this isn't really anything crazy, it's not only kind of cool, but also changes the typical magic style of gameplay for most games. On top of that, this game reminds me of Deep Oaken in the way that there are so many different weapons, each with their own styles of gameplay and combat styles, to the point where if you play this game, you're going to find at least one weapon that you can call your favorite. And even though it's not anything crazy, the amount of content that this game has also allows you to create so many different types of builds, each with different weapons, armors, and accessories, and races, and of course drip, because the clothes in this game are just fire, man. Magoi is one of those games that you can't wait to see come out, and I personally can't wait to see how they do the different Dijin equips in this game. And this is what I've been waiting on for a while. I'll give Magoi an 8.5 for combat, an 8.5 for mechanics, and an 8.5 for aesthetics. Next up at number 3, I have one of the games that I'm personally most excited for, and a newcomer to the anime community, 4 Blues. So 4 Blues is a new Roblox One Piece game that, I'll be honest, I had no expectations for. I had never heard of the game, and as I'm sure most of you guys can agree with, most new One Piece games we get nowadays usually aren't really good. 4 Blues, I think, was one of the most realistic Roblox One Piece games I've ever played, purely due to its combat system. The game features a decently wide variety of different styles, ranging from blackleg to rokushiki to boxing to 1 and 2 sword styles. But it's not just the styles that this game has, but specifically how they're made. This is a game that was originally developed by one of the programmers of Type Soul, which is why you guys might notice some similarities in the combat, and the way that this guy made some of these styles, like Odin 2 sword style for example, just feels so good to play. Each style has some sort of unique mechanic that belongs only to it. Like for example, with Odin sword style, if you hold M1 and release it, it does this, where you lunge forward, and upon coming into contact with an enemy, you then do a backflip into the air, and you hold your position in the air for a few seconds from there. And what makes this so cool is that it gives you options to mix up your enemy. You can use a guard break to catch them off guard, make them think you're going to use a guard break and then use a regular move, or just continue the combo normally, and it just feels super smooth. Other styles like blackleg and 1 sword style have simpler mechanics where you can pretty much just use different moves in different ways. And the game is also trying to take a different approach to how One Piece games do hockey, with the game having an actual real hockey system where you have to essentially imbue your hockey at the right moment. And if you do this, it allows you to change your moves into different variations, like this hockey imbued version of Zoro's Tiger Strike, which changes the moves into a ranged hockey slash, which I think is supposed to be 720-pound Phoenix, but I could be wrong. Stuff like this is just so incredibly cool to me because I'm the type of guy who's always just going to be a sucker for unique mechanics and concepts in games, and 4 Blues really seems like it's trying to be the embodiment of that. Oh, by the way, did I mention that this game is the first One Piece game I've seen, aside from maybe Rel C's, to actually make guns and snipers useful? And not even just in the sense that they do more damage. No, guns are an actual style in this game, and if you'd like to play a sniper, you can do that, and it's actually efficient. And this means that crews in this game are going to be insane, because just like in actual One Piece, you'll have people on the front line, and then you'll have snipers in the back, and if you don't have a sniper and your enemy does, good luck. I don't care what anyone says, this is cool, because some people genuinely want to do this. Not everyone wants to have a cool fruit or a fighting style. Some people just want to have a gun, and this game allows them to have that choice to do that if they would like to, which I can't say for most others. And then there's also the simpler stuff. The stuff that I always say most games are not going to do or even really think about. Like an actual cooking system where you can purchase the various ingredients and then go cook whatever the hell you want. So again, crews are gonna be crazy, because if you want to be the cook in your crew, you can do that. You just know this is gonna be good, because if they're doing stuff like this, they have so much room to do other subclasses from One Piece, like Brook's musician class or Nami's navigator class. But most games just don't. At the end of the day, this game is literally just giving us actual One Piece, but in a game, which is kind of all we can really ask for. Like, y'all can't tell me this isn't cool. 4 Blues is easily one of my most anticipated games of this year, because even though it's probably not something that everyone would be interested in, these are the types of games that I personally love to play. I'll give 4 Blues a 10 for combat, a 9 for mechanics, and an 8.5 for visual. Next up at number 2, we have, you guessed it, Holy War X. Holy War X is a new Roblox 7 Deadly Sins game, and it's one of those games that pretty much seems to have the entire anime community grasped in its hands right now, being constantly compared to other incredibly hyped games like RLCs, and honestly, it's easy to see why. To be honest with you guys, I was hesitant to put this game at number 2 again, as we've been waiting on this one for a minute, and honestly, I'm not completely sure if it will release this year. But the reason why it's still on here is because the game is just too high quality to ignore. Roblox is one of those platforms where people generally tend to underestimate it purely because it's Roblox, but not Holy War X. See, Holy War X takes the already incredibly high potential for phenomenal games to be made on this platform, and from what we've seen so far, tries to fully maximize it. The game looks beautiful, it plays phenomenally, introduces some new mechanics that I've personally never seen before in an anime game, and also utilizes many that I have. What I like about Holy War X is the game isn't afraid to try new things, nor is it afraid to go back and fix old things if they don't work, and a lot of games can learn how to do that. Type so. If something doesn't work, it's not afraid to go back and fix it. You can play as any of the actual giant goddess races from the actual show, use a wide variety of different magics and combat styles, each feeling incredibly unique and different from the other, and probably my favorite thing that we've seen so far, the ship mechanics. There's a whole bunch of stuff I could say about this game's ship systems. It's one of my favorite things about the game. There's so much interactiveness inside of the ships, but I'm gonna spare you guys that ramble. Just know that it's pretty cool, and you can basically interact with all the different parts of this ship. It's super dope. The game's combat is also fairly technical, featuring running attacks, grabs, throws, and other things like that kind of just take it up to another level. All I'll say is, if you genuinely like and enjoy 7 Deadly Sins or 7 Deadly Frames, I can't see you not liking this game, unless you just hate like a really specific thing about it, in which case it is what it is. I'll give Holy War X a 9.5 for combat, a 9 for mechanics, and a 9.5 for aesthetics. And finally, last but not least, for the last bombshell, at number 1 on this list, we have RLCage. Now this is easily the most hyped Roblox anime game I have ever seen in my entire time of being on the platform. RLCage is a new upcoming Roblox One Piece game, and man, every time this game even releases a teaser video on YouTube, it goes trending on YouTube, which by itself is crazy. But aside from the sheer hype it gets, the game itself is also really interesting. See, most One Piece games we get tend to all usually pretty much fit the same bill. Bandit beater combat, boring, pretty much non-existent progression. Oh, and yeah, a million game passes. Can't forget that. You get the picture, right? But RLCage is giving us a different idea. A new take on what it means for a One Piece game to be a One Piece game. Tens of different mounts, all I'm assuming with different functions and capabilities. More accurate hockey, which means that rather than just being a Devil Fruit simulator like every other One Piece game, if you want to be Garpa Roger, you can be Garpa Roger in this game. So let's talk about the Devil Fruits. 25. That's the amount of Devil Fruits that RLCage is planning on releasing. 25. For reference, Grand Peace Online dropped with about 7, and Blox Fruits dropped with about 12. And RLCage is planning on dropping with 25. That's more than twice the average. Not only that, each fruit is obviously unique and made so that the way in which they all interact with each other is finally something new. For example, fruits that can fly in this game, like the Phoenix fruit or the Goro Goro fruit in its lightning form, actually have their own unique form of flight combat. And it doesn't look goofy or stupid. Actually, maybe a little bit goofy. But you guys get the point, right? This game is being made to be a One Piece game. Guns have actual uses and interesting subclasses that give them purpose. Hockey is made to have tons of different uses and capabilities, from the usual observation hockey, more unique things like Shanks Wi-Fi hockey, to even stuff like Luffy started Wano Conqueror's hockey when he was passed out. Who actually puts that in a game? And hockey in this game works so beautifully because of the poster system, where your character has posters for hockey as well as straight up combat, and each poster does something different. Like there's this poster, for example, that lets you Geppo towards your enemies after you end a combo by throwing them away, or this observation hockey poster that allows you to dodge up to 8 times, or even this Conqueror's hockey poster that allows you to knock out players who are near you. And I love this poster system because it encourages each and every player to have some sort of a unique build and identity, as long as there isn't just one meta of posters, which there probably will. What I love about RLCage is it sees the smaller, usually brushed over parts of One Piece, like Lost Submarine, or like I said, Luffy started Wano Conqueror's hockey, which are pretty much smaller parts of the series that the game then transforms to be something big. If you're a PvE type of player, the game offers a ton of options for that, and it's not just boring exploring random crap like beating up 15 thugs or delivering an item to another location, which every freaking game does. Like, do something new. Damn. Most things you do in this game lead into something else. Like, for example, if you have absolutely nothing else to do, go exploring, find chests, lockpick them, or go fish and cook that fish. And it's not like exploring, for example, has no purpose or meaning in this game, because you can get things like blueprints while exploring that allow you to then craft new items or go out and fight sea beasts. You can then get sea beast parts from to then upgrade your ship and make it go faster. Or, I don't know, make it do more damage with the cannons or something. I don't know, you guys get the idea, right? Or if you'd like to fight something, just get your crew together and go fight one of the many actual bosses put into this game, because yeah, there's that too. I'm not gonna lie, even though the boss system in this game doesn't really look too crazy, I have to appreciate the fact that they even tried doing this in this way. Like, they could have just made bosses in the same generic way that every anime game tries to do it, but instead they tried to do something more like Elden Ring, and I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. The combat's dope, the different systems are cool, and overall, this is one of, if not my most anticipated game of 2025. I'll give Raw Season 9 for its combat, mostly because I'm a fan of the unique way in which the posters interact and diversify its combat, and I'll give it a 9.5 for mechanics and a 9.5 for visuals. And finally, for the real last game on this list, at number 0, the game that I'm really the most hyped for is my game. Now, I'm not gonna say too much on this, but what I will say is I'm just as much, if not more excited for this game than I am for all of the other games on this list, and this is a project that I plan on taking very serious. This is an anime game, and I do plan on making this game in a way that, yes, you watching right now could and will enjoy. I know a lot of us in the community are honestly fed up with the way that these games are being created nowadays, and to tell you the truth, a lot of us don't even really enjoy most of these games that do come out now. And so with this game, I'm gonna try my best to set the record straight. If you'd like to support this game, I'll have the Discord link down below, and I'm hoping that you'll give it a chance, but you'll be seeing it soon, and I honestly think you'll enjoy it. And yeah, that being said, that's my top 10 most anticipated upcoming releasing games of 2026. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If I missed anything, let me know down below. And yeah, if you're new to the channel and haven't yet, I would appreciate if you hit that sub button. Don't forget to drop a like in the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.